Okay. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. It's always great to see so many people excited about data privacy because nothing says fun weekend plans like talking about governance, consent, and accountability on a Saturday morning. I'm Sujit Katiyar, co-founder and director at 14th Degree Azimuth India as Wide Advisory, and I'll be moderating today's session, which is hospital leadership in DPDP era, managing governance, consent, and accountability. As India's healthcare sector steps into a new era of digital transformation, data protection, and governance have become critical for leadership priorities. The Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023, along with the upcoming rules, which were released in a draft form in 2025 start, is not just a regulatory requirement. It's a framework that redefines how healthcare sector handles patient data, consent, and accountability. Today's session is hosted by 14 Degree Azimuth India Advisory, a firm dedicated to guiding healthcare organizations through complex compliance journey. With over 500 years of combined team experience, we help hospitals, diagnostic labs, insurance companies, pharma organizations, and digital health platforms build privacy-first system through audits, DPIAs, privacy policies, RASCI manuals, trainings, and breach response framework. We are truly honored to welcome a visionary leader in Indian healthcare, Dr. Ravindra Karanjekar, sir, as our fireside chat speaker today. Dr. Karanjekar's name is synonymous with the quality-driven hospital leadership. Over a career spanning more than 4 decades, he has held senior leadership roles in some of India's largest hospitals. He led JCI and NABH accreditation twice, chaired the NABH, which is under Quality Council of India. Sir currently serves as the Chief Medical Advisor at Lilavati Hospital, Gift City, Executive Vice Chairman at Asian Oncology Institute, and CEO of Kiran Hospitals in Surat. Previously, he held top leadership roles such as Corporate CEO of Jupiter Hospitals, Thane and Pune, CEO of Seven Hills Hospital, Mumbai, which is like one of the largest hospital here in Mumbai, and Global Hospitals, and corporate director at Fortis Healthcare. These are the few names which I have taken in the interest of the time. Otherwise, in last more than 4 decades, he was part of mostly known hospitals here in India. He brings a unique combination of clinical expertise and administration insight. And today, he will be sharing his thoughts on how hospital leadership must adapt to the demands of the DPDP Act, especially in the area of governance, patient consent, quality standards, and digital accountability. This conversation is highly relevant for healthcare professionals who are leading strategy, compliance, clinical operations, and quality across individual hospitals. So with that, let's dive into this important and timely conversation. Sir, first of all, thanks for your valuable time. We all know you are very busy, sir. Okay, so should I start with the question,
Yeah,
sir?
please start.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Sir, how do you see the DPDP Act reshaping the way hospitals manage patient data today, right from the OPD registration to EMR to billing, and what will be things will change operationally once DPDP Act is implemented?
Well, ask very pertinent question. Thank you very much to you. The DPDP Act is going to reshape the healthcare, especially the hospital records and its processing in a great way. The healthcare is a field where the individual healthcare data passes through multiple hands, medical and paramedical. And for the purpose of clinical treatment, it is required to be done. Also, the data is being shared with the various government schemes, insurance schemes, and other people, where again it passes through the multiple hands. So the availability of the data at various places is very big. And when multiple people are using the data or visiting the data, then there are chances of leakage and misuse. That is where the role of hospitals or the hospital management comes into, that we need to install a proper process flow, and at every stage we need to monitor the data privacy. Data privacy has been given as a right to every individual, and this has to be honored properly. For the present system, the accountable and present system has to be need to be accountable and auditable. There will be a use, this is a huge task. Operationally, it will change the way data flows presently in the hospital. This also applies to the research or the thesis, doctors write, or all other things. So we will have to be extremely careful about the data being processed, used, and the quality department and our top management has a role to play in this.
Thank you. Very rightly said, sir. Now coming to the core concept and core things about the DPDP Act. So, sir, what are the key features of Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023? And along with that, I would like to understand from you what rights does it grant to the individuals, especially in the context of healthcare data, sir?
See, when we talk about the DPDP Act, that is the Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023, with the rules coming in 2025, uh, some of the definitions we will have to see. It is applicable to the digital personal data, remember, and it covers the processing within India, also outside India, if the processing related to offering goods and services to India. This is one of the applicability.
Right.
The key definitions are the data principles. Data principles are the individual to whom the personal data relates. Like you, me, patient, whoever it is, whoever the data relates, it is the data principle. While data fiduciary is the entity which processes the data, determines the purpose of the data and means of processing personal data. Now there is another entity which is coming up, which is normally not there in the hospital as of now. That is the consent manager. Today, in hospitals, everybody takes the consent, and nobody really looks into that except at some point of time they audit the consent. That's all for an immediate purpose. But this consent manager is a person, is a platform to manage user consent registered with the Data Protection Board. Here we come to the Data Protection Board, which is a central body, and you will have to register the consent manager for that. Once you have the consent manager registered, he and his responsibilities are being outlined, and then you can see at every consent which is given, and then the grounds for data processing. He looks into what the grounds for data processing, why the data is to be processed. It cannot be used just like that. If you want it for the medical treatment or otherwise anything, it can be processed. But what is the ground for that? Any other data, it cannot be processed. And then it must be based on the consent given by the data principal. If the data principal has not given the consent to you, it will be illegitimate. So you will need a legitimate consent for the use and function of this data, and then only you can go ahead. Now, when the data principal is there, or the consent must be, first the consent must be specific. I want to do this and that is all. I don't want you to go beyond that, or I don't want you to do the more and more about me. Get information only related to that. It should be informed, specific, and unambiguous.
Right.
Here is the role of quality department and top management comes, because you will have to devise that kind of consent forms, and at every stage you will have to take the consent of the person. Without consent, if you are using the data, it will be theft or misuse of the data, which will be penalized. And if it is a data which is being used from the data principal, then what are his rights?
Hmm.
My data is there. I should have some rights about my data. It is my fundamental right to protect my privacy, and it is given by the Supreme Court. So, what are the right of the individual to access the personal data? I should have a right to access my personal data. I should have a right to correct and erase the data whenever required. If I don't want a particular data or if it is incorrectly written by you, I should have a right to erase it. Then I have a right to revoke the consent. If I don't want something, I can revoke my consent that don't use my data, and it's not possible for me to give further provision. Special provision for the protection of data related to minors, where the minors and the people who are responsible for data, that is their parents or other people, they are responsible for it. Their consent is required absolutely, and this data is to be preserved for a longer period of time. Then there is a minimum penalty for the breach. That is penalty. Penalty is one of the clauses.
Right.
It
Hmm.
is written into that.
Hmm.
Penalty just to make you feel that it is important. It can range from few crores to 250 crores, depending on the larger size, smaller size, how much data you have taken. Because for insurance companies or for the research companies, India is one of the fertile grounds to get data, and this has to be avoided. If people are misusing that kind of data across the country, probably one or two get big fines will deter them from doing so. So that will be there, and you have obligations on data fiduciaries. Data who are producing is that ensure the data is processed only for the specific purpose, implement a reasonable security safeguards into that, notify in, no, you will have to notify if there is a breach in the case. Data breach happens, you will have to notify. Special duties of data fiduciary is that it is significant for them to inform to the board also that there is a data breach as early as possible so that the action can be taken. This is one. Then there is a data protection board, a central authority to enforce the act, handle the complaints, and issue the penalties. And penalties, as I said, they range from 52 to 150 crore. And for the hospital, it will be a huge task to pay the penalties. So these are some of the key features of the act.
Thank you. I think in last 8 to 10 minutes, sir, you have summarized the core concept and the core things, the core features around this thing. So if one can listen this just 10 to 15 minutes, one can understand the entire act in nutshell, I can say. Sir, the next question is related with the what practical steps should hospitals begin right now taking right from today to prepare for DPDP Act, because people are waiting for rules to be finalized. That's what I whenever I interacting with the healthcare, because we specialize in the healthcare sector. So that's how even the big size organizations, they are also waiting for rules to be finalized. So whatever draft rules are there, in my opinion, there are not going to have major changes. First of all, rules are from the executive body, from the execution part, okay, because they cannot deviate much from whatever has been mentioned in the act. Okay, so sir, coming to my question, what steps hospital should start from today? And here I would like to like your views about the mid-size hospitals and stand-alone institution that lack legal and IT and other kind of resources. Sir.
Uh, very nice question actually, because this is where the practically on ground what we should do should be known to the hospital. It's okay, act, so many things are written, so applicability, this, that, but what I should do,
Right.
and what I should do in the sense, what I should do when I am a 500 bed hospital, what I should do when I am a 100 bed hospital, what I should do where I am a small nursing home of 50 bed, or even a still smaller nursing home, what I should do. because all hospitals will be liable for penalty. All hospitals will generate the data. Then smaller hospital to have a consent manager, to have a board, or to have the other
D
thing. It will
DPO, Data Protection Officer. Okay, dedicated. Yeah, yes, sir.
be very expensive, and it will add to the expenses. Uh, One of the things which we thought of is that for bigger hospitals, they can have a department like quality department, you can have a legal department or the department meant for DPDP. But for smaller hospitals, they can come together and outsource the whole thing. Like there will be bodies whom we can outsource the consent management as well as the regular audit part of it. And once we do that, then possibly on a everyday basis or every alternate day basis, they will be able to check all consents, or they will have a team of people looking into the consent, looking into the breach, doing the audits, and if there is a breach, informing the board. If there is no breach, then all, because hospital is another entity or industry where the turnover is very large.
Right.
The people come and go, people come and go. So till such a time that all people are educated, you need to give the training. Everybody who is handling data has to handle it very carefully, and they must know that this is a bomb in their hand. If they misuse it, probably it will explode. So
Exactly.
this way, it is very important that education has to be done. So training, monitoring, advising the people, and regular checks and audits. This part can be outsourced to some outside agency, which in a larger basis visit 8-10 hospitals, 8-10 nursing homes and get the work done. And then it is possible that the sharing of expenses will happen and they will be able to do the job properly. So, but when you are coming to what hospitals, otherwise mid-level hospital or bigger hospital can do is that there should be a consent manager. First, there are 8 or 10 points what hospital can do. One is the consent manager. Obtain explicit informed consent before collecting or using the patient data. For what I am collecting the data, tell the patient it is informed, and I'm sorry, but being with the quality and quality council accreditation committee, number of times I have seen just somebody comes and takes patient signature. He is neither informed, it is told that it should be told into his mother language, mother tongue, it should be explicit, his risk all should be involved, all for surgical. Just somebody comes, they say sign here and that's all. And some very junior fellow comes. That is going to be detrimental for big hospital. That has become detrimental in some of the cases. Some case laws are there on it, where patient later on refused that I didn't have any idea about it and I was not told. My signature was taken and surgeon and hospital were penalized. This will happen much bigger way. Clearly specify the purpose of data. Why you want this information? Like Triple H, we do it before surgery. Why you want to do it? I don't want to do every patient Triple H, but when I am going for surgery and it's going to harm other people, especially the operation theatre doctors and nurses, I want to do it. And I want your consent for that. Once you give the consent, I can do this investigation. If you don't give the consent, I will not go ahead or I will drop the idea. Then provide an easy way for patient to withdraw the consent. After some time, patient feels, or when the treatment is going on, and he feels that he doesn't want to give the consent for certain things, especially life support systems or certain surgeries, or maybe cesarean sections and other things, where patient feels that after discussing with the family, no, I want to withdraw the consent. Because at the time of admission, the consent is taken. That I will do this, I will do this, I will follow this, all that written. But later on, I feel no, I don't want to go ahead with this. There should be an easy way to withdraw the consent. And the lastly is to maintain the digital records of the consent. This is very, very important because it should be accessible to me as well as to the principal person. That is, as a doctor or hospital and as a principal person, it should be applicable. Now, second part is the data collection and processing. Collect only necessary and relevant data. Don't collect unnecessary data. What happens is in case of research subjects, in case of thesis people writing, they start collecting additional data for the purpose of their this, which is not required. One is it is a burden on patient. Second is it's of no use directly for the patient treatment. When it is of no use, why you are collecting this data?
Right.
Why you are collecting this data? So you should collect only relevant data. Do not use the data for the secondary purpose. And this is where really we will have to be controlling it properly. Is that data for marketing?
Exactly.
People use it. Today I get hundreds of calls. From where they get my number, I don't know. Where they get my information, I don't know. From where, but the data is. And today only on Facebook, I saw an ad where ad clearly says that you will get the information of about 100 companies and 2,000 people with their addresses and all that at a charge of this much amount. Correct? My data available to you on payment, and I don't know. I have not given permission, neither I have given consent. So this and ensure the data used only for the stated medical purpose. For no other purpose it can be used. So you have to be very careful. Third is the data security measures. Implement end-to-end encryption. You have to have this on electronic health records specifically. Use role-based access control. If the other nurse or other doctor or colleague doesn't require that information, don't be accessible to that. So at every level, you have to have a control where you can control the data properly. Then maintain the audit logs.
Okay.
This is the most important thing, that for cleaning the system, you should have the regular audits. So you know the pain points, you know where the leaks are, and you can close the leaks. They regularly conduct a vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. This is very important at all levels in big hospitals because the leakage otherwise will be so severe that it will be beyond repair. So you should be doing all that in a big way in a big hospital. Then what happens? Then you have a patient right, as we said, to provide the data accessibility, view access, request for collection of data. Now here are some of the issues which are in my mind, which I would like to write to the board also, that the data which is patient would like to erase certain data, maybe HIV positive, maybe open COPS, maybe other data. Patient says don't write it. Or so many patients I have requested repeatedly that don't write I am smoking, don't write I am diabetic, so that insurance will reject my claim.
Oh, okay.
And even if I have written it, because I will write it because I am giving the anti-diabetic drug, anti-hypertensive drug, so I can't say that he is not diabetic. And now if he has an easy access to erase the data, and if he erases the data, what to do? So these are some of the borderline questions or the gray areas we need to be addressed in healthcare, especially the healthcare areas where the healthcare infection, which is susceptible to cause to the others damage. Probably you will have to look into it that data can be shared or not shared. If not shared, then what will happen to the other people surrounding?
Right.
Remember, then you, like today, if you have seen the Times of India, you have seen that Tata Hospital, one of the hospital, Tata Hospital attract, is giving a very high dose radiation therapy. Now they know that this patient with high dose radiation can cause radiation to the surrounding completely, much more than a normal person. So you will have to take the extra precaution and take the consent. So they have taken the consent, evacuated area around him completely, and treated the patient. So
Right.
you have to know why you are doing it, how you are doing it. And then is the breach reporting. Breach reporting is that individual data breach response plan. You will have to write it down properly, like incident report, and notify the Data Protection Board of India. The affected patient, both the affected patient and Data Protection Area Board, without undue delay after the breach. And this is very important. You can't hide or put under the rug the things, because if you do that and later on the damage is done, then there is of no use.
Right.
And then the compliance is there. There is a DPO officer which can handle large volumes of personal data, conduct regular audit, and train the staff. This is where the third party comes into the picture. I think it requires an expertise to train the people. For a larger hospital, they can appoint the people. It's a cost. But for smaller hospital, it cannot be they cannot appoint so many people just to have a data protection part. So combinedly, few of the hospital, like they can outsource quality part, they can outsource legal part. Same way, DPDP, they can outsource where the person or the entity can have a regular audit, check, and training. Training is the most important. Because nurses change every time, doctors change every time. 6 months RMO change. They should be aware what is the data and how they are handling it, and should they share with others or not.
Right.
So that is very important. And third party data sharing. If I am sharing data with the insurance companies, if I am sharing data with the research company, if I am sharing data with the government, or if I am sharing with anybody else, then I will need an explicit consent from the patient that I can share that data. Normally, I have seen patient give the consent as long as it is in his interest. But if you are misusing it for the financial purpose or otherwise, then there will be a problem.
Okay.
So these are some of the things hospitals should do it, and maintain a documentation, data processing activity, consent logs, breach incidences, and audit report. This has to be it should be a part of your daily activity.
Right, sir. Very important points. You covered certain gray areas and the borderline points. But best I liked is right now everybody is talking about the data is a new oil. Data is a gold mine you are having. But you change the perception by saying that it's a bomb in your hand and it can explode at any time. So that's a different perspective, and that's where all the hospital, whether it's a mid size or big size, they have to look into. Sir, I want this thing related to one question from Dr. Damodar Vishnu Lele. Do you mean to say that a consent for procedure or treatment and consent for data protection or privacy are different? You mean to say consent for procedure or treatment and consent for data protection or privacy are different? So that's what.
Dr. Lele, I'll tell you one of the things. Mainly, when the patient gets admitted, there is a consent for treatment. Because what happens, it is a general consent. When the patient gets admitted, not always definitive treatment is being planned. You will have to investigate and find out what has happened and then start the treatment. So for all that purpose and investigation, there is a general consent. When you do the general consent, then there is a specific treatment to be started. Say you need surgery, you need certain things to be done. Then you will need again the consent for that. Even the consent for giving blood, you will need the blood consent for other things. And when you are processing the data or Data Protection Act, under the Data Protection Act, these consents are valid. So when you say there is no separate consent for Data Protection Act, but whatever the processes you follow or the procedures you do, if you have the consent, that is a part of Data Protection Act.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I would like to talk about the exemptions, whether in healthcare under DPDP Act, are there any exemptions? Okay, what type of data processing activities in the healthcare that are exempted from the DPDP Act? If you can throw some light there, sir.
Yeah, the processing of personal data is necessary for enforcing any legal right or claim that is being exempted. For the court asking for it, it is being exempted. Then the state government or the central government or any tribunal or any other body entrusted with the law, with the performance of any judicial or quasi-judicial or regulatory or supervisory function, then it is exempted. Then personal data principle, not within the territory of principle India, and data is processed pursuant to the contract, then it is exempted. And also processing is necessary for the scheme of compromise or agreement, then it is exempted. So basically when I say it is exempted, basically it is for the law purpose,
right?
Basically it is for the contract purpose, and for enforcing certain legal aspect of it, it is exempted. Otherwise it is not exempted.
Right, sir. Right. Sir, you have led accreditation committee of NABH, NBQP, Quality Council of India. Do you believe DPDP Act compliance should be separate criteria, or it should be integrated into existing chapters like information management in NABH next means 7th edition?
I was thinking aloud about it because I was associated with NABH right from the beginning. And we are coming, NABH is coming with the 7th edition. The thing is that if you ask, it is there and it is not there.
Okay.
Because today's NABH criteria for various standards, one of the standards says that it should be all Indian laws are applicable. Applicable laws should be followed by the healthcare organization, whether it is related to fire or whether it is related to any other thing. All the laws should be followed. So when we say all the laws should be followed, DPDP Act comes under that. But if you want to highlight that and make people aware of that, in the information chapter, if you want to give it, then probably, because what happens is that in other laws, except fire, where, see, fire is there, or there is a law for blood bank, therefore FDA, this thing. So everywhere you will have to follow the law, and in the law it is stated you should have a staff nurse, you should have a blood bank officer, you should have specific regulation for blood bank, or for fire you need these compliances. Similarly, if there is a sub-chapter on DPDP where it says that you should have a consent officer or you should have a third-party consent management, you should have, the part is that you should have regular audits, because the audit part and checking the audits is one of the part which assessors should be doing, that are you doing the data audits or not, and data protection is done or not. If that is done in a big way, then it is. So to give an emphasis on that, probably a subset of DPDP into the existing law, if we mention it, that will be far better, because then, see, we mention about trainings. Trainings has to be carried out. If we mention specific as a act or specific as a one of the standard, then people will carry out the training. If you say you will need 10 audits every year or monthly audit on consent data, then they will carry out. If you general say that the law should be followed, that should be followed. It's not that
Right.
law should be followed. But then if your subset is there, 1, 2, 3, 4, you should do it. And then hospital will be able to do that. And I think I'm going to suggest this to chairman and CEO that probably in the next edition they can
Okay.
put a substandard or
Hmm.
one of the standard to follow the DPDP Act. That
That
will
will
be
be.
because that will because other places the penalty is not so huge or hefty. Here the penalty is very huge and hefty. So from
Mhm.
that point of view, you should be ready and aware. And we must treat with respect patient data. You cannot just use it so loosely.
Right, sir. Right, sir. That will be really wonderful if it happens. Sir, extending to this discussion towards the quality side, quality and NABH and DPDP, how can quality heads and hospital administrators align their NABH audit checklist with the DPDP requirements? Such as the consent, purpose limitation, breach response, which already you have discussed, but in relation with the NABH audit checklist, and how they can align the quality heads and the hospital administrators.
Quality heads in various hospitals or the outsourced quality people have a new job at hand, to be very honest. Because
Mhm.
till today, when medical records were checked, they used to just go through the consent. One of the times they used to do an audit of the consent. But now it is a penal part, and when it has to be seen see, just consent. What consent we see? We see admission consent, we see proceed surgical consent. That is all. But really, it is a true consent. Whether the proper information to the patient is given or not, right kind of people have done it or not. So probably you will have to go deep into the consent part of it, where every consent need to be seen properly. If that is not done, then probably you will land in problem. So that part, quality has to do it. Now, most of the hospitals have a cut paste, copy paste consent forms.
Right.
Now, every hospital will have to have cut paste, copy paste is okay, but you will need to devise a form, consent form for every procedure properly, where the risk and other things are being informed to the patient properly, and you have to have a matrix present with the quality and hospital head had to sit together and sit down that who will handle this data and who will handle this consent. And accordingly, it happens or not. Because
Right.
on paper, quality has the hundreds of SOPs, but implementation level, what happens, one will have to see it. So
Yeah.
if most of the people follow it properly, there will not be problem. If
Mm.
they don't follow, or if they try to fudge up the data or consent, then that might be a problem to them in one of the cases. So from that angle, quality has multiple roles to play. One, devise a proper consent form for every procedure and every aspect of the hospital-patient relationship. Then second, audit. Audit the consents on a regular basis if you have a department, otherwise an outsourced department who will do the job, coordinate with them. Third, training. Data passes through the hands of front office, front desk person in the OPD area, doctor, its junior doctor, the nurse, the OT nurse, the ward RMOs, junior doctor, senior doctor, pathology, X-ray. All these people need to be trained properly.
Right.
You cannot just loosely use that data. And for that purpose, if somebody is available for the training in the
Mhm.
hospital, it's well and good. Larger hospital can take up that responsibility, but smaller hospital do not have. So you have to ask the trainer to come in on a weekly basis, fortnightly basis, train the people on data, give the importance of data, give some examples how it can get leakage. Because if you know the process flow, depict it to them and show the leakages. These are the point where it can have leakages. Please fill up the leakages or fill up the gaps, close the leakages. So data leakage will not happen. And when that happens, probably quality department will be. And then quality department again responsible for the incident report or the data breach. Data breach along with the help of top management, they should be immediately informing to the patient, immediately informing to the board, and then take the corrective steps for that. Do the what has happened, how it has happened, how it can be stopped. So quality department plays a big role into this. This way, if they function it, probably they will be able to protect the data properly. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. I have so many things to ask, but in respect of time. Okay. So, sir, there are few questions. Okay. So, I'll. Mr. Dattatray, do you have any question there? Because you raised the hand.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
if
please
I
go
may.
ahead. Please
Yeah,
go ahead. Yeah.
morning, Dr. Karanjekar.
Good
Just two
morning.
things. Yeah, when we talk about right to erasure, there are instances where data principal does share their information on email, and that email is marked to multiple people. Now, those people are internal people or external parties as well. Now, when we receive something like this right to erasure, and when we have to erase the data, but there are certain emails which are beyond organization's control, which are already been shared with the external parties. Now, in such scenario, how do we
Yeah.
tackle the situation and what reaction or response should go to principal?
As long as the email is sent by the principal, you don't have the responsibility. Principal has shared his information with so many people, you don't have to worry about it. But if you have shared the information with principal and other people, then you have to be worrying about it, that whether you are sharing it with the right person or not. I can tell what has happened to me. I can happen what is my health is. I can tell anybody whatever I am getting or whatever drugs I am taking or what type of diseases I have. I am principal person. I can tell to anybody. But you cannot tell about my health till taking my permission. Okay?
Right. Very sad. Sir, there are quite a few questions. I'll take one. Sir, what tips would you give to small hospitals and clinics collecting patient data to comply DPDP Act and rules with limited budget? Okay, sir. It's by Samyak Sapre. Okay. She has asked. Already, sir, you have covered this
So when
point.
already I have spoken about it, first thing tomorrow I will do is that I will go to a party which is looking into the data protection part and appoint them as the appoint them for my data part. So they will start doing the consent forms, training. This will be more important. Penalizing is not very important. Training is more important into that. That they will be doing it. And then regular audit reports, they will be submitting to it. That should be a part of monthly audit system. If that happens, then probably smaller hospital will survive. A little cost, whenever new act comes, little cost is always incurred, remember.
Right.
Because you will have to comply with that. We are not ready right from the beginning. So new things we will have to do when the implementation is done. But small cost, we can bear it looking at the penalizing part and respect to the patient's data. That we can do it. Yeah.
Okay. So on this note, thank you, sir, for sharing your deep insights and practical perspective on how hospital leadership can navigate the challenges and the opportunity of the DPDP Act. Today's discussion reinforced that data protection is no longer just an IT or legal issue. It's a core part of hospital governance, patient trust, and institutional accountability, whether it's obtaining a valid consent, ensuring secure system, or aligning with the evolving NABH standards. The role of leadership is central for building compliant and fully featured healthcare organizations. On behalf of our entire team at 14th Degree Azimuth Advisory, thank you once again for being with us, sir. We look forward to staying connected and helping move forward confidentially in DPDP era. Have a great day, everybody, and stay compliant, stay trusted. Thank you.
Thank you, 14 Degree. Thank you, all listeners. Anything you require, you can always reach to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.